Ethan first met them on a Tuesday evening, just before his night shift began. They had called the security firm he worked for, nothing unusual in itself, but the request had been odd. They wanted him to monitor the house remotely, no patrols, and from midnight to dawn. They would leave that night for a 3-day trip. The pay was high enough that his supervisor raised an eyebrow and asked if he wanted the assignment personally. The air between the lines of their request made Ethan itch in a way he couldn't place. Still, the money was too good to pass up. The house stood at the end of a long, empty road. A wrought iron gate swung open as his car approached. The driveway lights activated in sequence, illuminating smooth stone and gleaming glass. The couple waited at the door. She wore a crisp cream suit with her hair tightly pinned, and he wore a dark suit with his tie pulled up quite tightly and his hands folded behind his back. He shook the man's hand, and his grip was cold. Inside, the house smelled of polished stone and air that had never merged with impurities. There were no photographs, no scattered objects, nothing that suggested life. The woman placed a leather-bound folder on the table. He opened it. It was full of details and instructions, such as the camera placements, floor plans, and login credentials, and a page of rules which stated, "Do not enter the house under any circumstances. Do not speak through the system to anyone inside the house. Do not attempt to adjust or touch any cameras or equipment outside the station. Record any unusual activity, but do not try to intervene or investigate in person. Between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m., leave the station and stand outside for observation. If you hear any sound, ignore it." The woman moved slightly forward and her eyes flicked to his, saying, "Please adhere strictly to these rules." He opened his mouth but swallowed his questions at her smile. Then he left the house feeling lighter than he expected, but unsettled. At midnight, he logged into the feeds. The house was immaculate. Every chair was perfectly aligned to the table, with the floors gleaming. Even the curtains hung without a tremor. Then the first strange thing happened less than an hour in. The chair in the living room had shifted slightly toward the window. He rewound the footage. The chair hadn't moved, but there was a flicker in the window. The door that had been closed swung open slowly, then stopped mid-frame. The audio feed suddenly activated. Low, slow breathing filled the air, causing goosebumps to rise on his arms. He yanked the volume down, his heart hammering. By 2 a.m., his eyes burned. He stepped outside the station with a cigarette, the night air cool against his face. He took a drag, watching the smoke thin and vanish. He had been smoking for about 30 minutes when he heard something strike the floor inside. He turned toward the station door, took 2 steps, then stopped. The rules surfaced in his mind. Between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m., leave the station and stand outside for observation. If he heard any sound, ignore it. He stood there, smoke burning down between his fingers, listening. Surely it wasn't a big deal if he checked where that sound came from. With the random things that had been occurring in the house, Ethan didn't feel at ease. It's not like someone could have bypassed him and entered, he wondered. He ground the cigarette out and went back inside. The monitors glowed steadily with every feed intact. The house still looked the same. Then the feeling arrived, a tightening in his chest and a stutter in his breathing. Suddenly the screens began to distort, causing him to startle backward. Lines tore across the images while static crept in from the edges, swallowing corners of rooms before consuming the entire feeds. Finally, the images returned to normal. Let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding and sank into the chair. His gaze drifted unfocused until it caught on the hallway feed. At the far end of the corridor, someone stood facing a closed door with a hand resting on the knob. The camera caught only the back, broad shoulders, dark jacket, posture straight and alert. Ethan leaned closer to the screen. The angle sharpened the details. The jacket wasn't just dark, it was worn at the right shoulder with a faint scuff near the seam. His gaze dropped to himself without thinking. Same jacket, same mark. His mouth went dry. The figure in the hallway shifted its weight slightly, the movement small but unmistakable. Ethan's reflection ghosted faintly over the monitor's surface, overlapping the silhouette on the screen. Then slowly, unhurriedly, the figure tilted its head as though sensing him, and turned. The face staring into the camera was his.